And a big hello to everybody coming to us and this episode of the Influencers Spotlight series. This is a series where we bring you some of the most talented people in the group to introduce themselves and for you to get to know them better so that you might take advantage of some of their services, or you might want to collaborate with them in some way. There are all kinds of things and all kinds of opportunities that are here in this group of over 560 folks that are all talented people. So today I am very, very pleased to have on the spotlight a very good friend of mine, Rose Marie, and she has talents that go beyond even anyone's expectations. She has served her community, she has served her state, she has served people for years and continues to benefit people through improving their lives and their lifestyles. Today, she has a very special program for you that talks about how you can help yourself live an even more fulfilling life. Rosemary, welcome to today's program.
Thank you so very much, Christopher. As you know, there's a great amount of enthusiasm, and enthusiasm means to enter the light of creation. And the way we enter the light of creation is upon birth, a slap, a cry, and our breath. And everyone rejoices when that cry follows and that breath continues. Obviously, breath is the power of our being, and breath is the determinant factor in our health and well-being. We know this anew from what the pandemic has brought. And I am so thrilled to be able to state that those that have been adversely affected by the pandemic because of some obstruction to their lung and therefore breathing, or constriction to their heart and therefore breathing, have found that the practice of this particular type of breathing has been of benefit. Much to my delight, a person that I have been working with that's considered a long hauler told me that there are a group of people within the medical profession who are looking at aspects of the COVID-19 that must be looked at differently because it is a particular phenomena that isn't falling into the categories of known medical practice. And this particular person stated that the newest consideration for the health and well-being of the population in general and the COVID long haulers is to understand the interplay of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, known as the autonomic nervous system. It is called parasympathetic, and to understand a connection easily, think of para, P, as peace. So the parasympathetic nervous system is what brings a calm, an integration, the ability of the body to heal, to be in a state of relaxation and a state of receptivity that allows for restoration and well-being. It is true that the sympathetic nervous system is also a significant operation for our survival, and that is the fight or flight. And again, associate the sympathetic, the S, with stress. So the sympathetic nervous system comes into gear, into its protection, out of the need to either fight or flight. And that is the nervous system that, when consistent, persistent, leads to disease states and high blood pressure, among other compromises of the human condition. So we see that breath is in of itself life. Life is in and of itself receptivity. And that receptivity has to be in balance. This is what the practice of the governing vessel breath brings. You see pictured there a chart, and available is going to be a link that will give a fuller explanation of that chart and larger, so that you'd be able to see the indications on each one of the GV. The GV stands for governor vessel. The governor vessel is the main vessel in the science of acupuncture because it is just that. It's governing. It goes from the base of the spine, the coxal, up the entire spine to the cervical spine, to the back of the skull, as you see, to the crown of the head, and then down out of the two nostrils. When one breathes with the visualization of this pattern, the body gets the signal that the consciousness has taken in all the fuel and all the focus it needs to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. It's like giving it the signal of confidence, of discipline, of the ability to be one in deliverance. What I want very much for everyone to realize is that, as simple as the breath is, it's so profound because it is the basis, obviously, of signaling to every organ and every organ system, and therefore to the functioning of ourselves, either in a state of well-being, in a state of malaise, in a state of stress, or in a state of actual disease. The governing vessel breath, through its particular points that are called acupuncture points, but they're also acupressure points, and they're also points in which consciousness can be focused. It has been shown that even those that have trained for the Olympics, that those that had spent time in practice with visualization and feeling the consciousness of their intent in whatever feat they were performing, had a greater success in mastery, a success that was sooner and more intense than those that just practiced it physically. And so that's the same with this breath. Yes, we can breathe, and depending upon situations, we are certainly aware that our breath takes on different modes and moods. The governing vessel breath is a breath pattern that allows whatever mood we're in to be put into a balance of confidence signaled to the body. So the guiding for the governing vessel breath is pictured here. However, I will explain it. Because each one of those governing vessel points correspond to the nerve plexes that many people may understand through Ayurvedic medicine, are also called chakras or nerve plexes, according to Western medicine. So the bottom that's associated around the coxal and the lower spine are those neurological signals that are associated with what is called the root energies, which is associated with our bowel. The second, and the root is associated with the element of earth. The second group of governing vessel points is on what is called the second energy center, which has the element of water and is associated with each of the organs that have to do with water, meaning the bladder, the sexual functions and organs, and the kidneys. The third group has to do with the element of fire, and that's the digestive process. So all the digestive organs are signaled by what is brought to those particular points of entree. The fourth has to do with the element of air, and that has to do with all the organs that are associated with the heart and the lungs. Then as we go above the heart, we have what is considered above the heart is your throat, and that has to do with vibration and communication and speech, as we know. Then above the throat is the brow, which has to do with where some people refer to the space between the brow as the third eye, and that obviously refers to vision as well as imagination. And then the crown is associated with the pineal gland, and that has to do with light and inspiration and a sense of self beyond only the physical planes. As we go from the midpoint of the crown back to the nostrils and out, we actually complete an intent of the breath aligned with our visualization to bring the signaling of balance, and therefore with balance to activate the engagement of the parasympathetic nervous system. It is so simple, yet it is so profound. And the benefits that it has brought forward have been documented. One of the more recent ones was, again, this is not my claim. This is what the person actually experienced and thanked me with the testimonial that appears on the blog. He had high blood pressure and a heart murmur, which was detected in preparation for surgery on her hip. Because her blood pressure was at a level that was not considered conducive for surgery at this time, she was told that she had to see another specialist and see how appropriate any kind of support to bring her blood pressure down. She heard about my work. I had never seen her. I had never had the opportunity, obviously, of working with her. And she told me about the particular challenge she had. And we worked on her practicing this governing vessel breath, along with some of the things that had come up that had been experiences that had lodged itself as trauma points in the body and in these areas. Her testimony validated not what I expected, but what she experienced. And that was a significant lowering of her blood pressure so that it was now in a particular range that was not problematic for the surgery. And the murmur was no longer detectable. And this was after 3 weeks of working every day, twice a day at a minimum, 3 times a day as the ideal. And therefore, she was able to bring this about by the physical practice, by the visualizations, and by the intent of her wanting to bring to herself what it is that she wanted so much to experience. And what was particularly significant is that this particular person, and she identified herself openly, happened to be an ordained minister. And she felt that somehow what was brought to her was what she prayed for. And when I first learned this, it was through meditation and integration. It was through the training I had as a holistic health practitioner, the training I had in acupuncture, and the training I had in the power of intention and vibration. So that's the reason I'm so excited to bring this forward, because it is an integration, it is a distillation, and it has proven itself to be a benefit that has in and of itself been unprecedented for breath pattern practices as they have been put forward. One focuses initially at 2 inches below their navel, brings the intent of that breath as if they're creating a straight line from 2 inches below the navel to the base of the spine, which is the coxal. Up all those points to the midpoint, which is the pineal gland, the midpoint of the crown of the head, is the inhalation. When one reaches the crown, the pineal gland, then there is the exhalation. So you become one with the intent of the breath. You become one with the flowing message to every organ system that exists from this governing vessel line. You become one in intent with it. You become one in intent with the signaling, and you become the master of the breath that brings forward the response that's simple and profound, the response of health and well-being. I invite you, obviously, to go to the link that has further explanation. I invite you to read the testimonials, and I invite you to contact me if you would like further instruction. There are very many different ways that the governing vessel breath is focused for healing different parts of the body, including trauma. I've had the opportunity of working with veterans who had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, and this particular pattern, practice, breath pattern, has also been of great benefit to them. Again, the testimonials are also part of the Apogee Occutone offerings. So I thank you, Christopher. I think we're just about the time frame that was suggested. And I thank you, Christopher. And I thank all who's watching. And I thank all who choose to bring the breath of life to them for the wellness they deserve. Thank you.
Rosemary, absolutely beautiful presentation and knowledge. If we only understood a 10% of what our body is capable of, we would all be much better off. But we don't think in those terms, which is what you're really trying to tell us here. And I think you're probably one of the more experienced people that I've ever talked to or had an opportunity to discuss it with anytime and at anywhere in my particular life anyway. So I thank you so much for being on the Spotlight series. Is there something you'd like to say before we close,
Yes.
Rosemary?
It was the use of the governing vessel breath, along with other practices exclusive to the vision mechanisms within our being, that I, with whatever the I was blessed with, was able to take eyesight that was in need of glasses for near point more so than far point. The glasses started to be worn it was about in my 40s when all of a sudden, the menu print and the dark light in a restaurant made it kind of challenging to know what it was that I was going to select to enjoy. The process that I introduced to, along with related practices, was and is responsible for the eyesight to be restored so that glasses no more are needed for either near point or far point focusing. When you choose to avail yourself of Apogee Occutone, there is a search bar in the upper left-hand corner. And if you put in glasses no more, you will be brought to the post that gives you the physiology, the neurology that was integrated in the practice with the governing vessel breath. I am happy to tell you, I am thrilled to tell you, I am blessed to tell you. My last birthday, I was 82 years of age. I wear no glasses. I have no medication. And yes, I look much younger than those years and feel that since these practices, I have gained years rather than have lost them. And I wish you the same. It's possible. Thank you again.
All I encourage all of you. I apologize. I didn't realize. encourage all of you to go to the Apogee Accutone location on the web and look at the dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of sites that are there that will carry you on a journey that you never would have expected. Rosemarie has given her entire life to the study of the human body and the human psyche, as a matter of fact, and has much to share. I hope that you all take advantage of it and learn from her. So, with that being said, I want to thank Rosemarie again for appearing with us, and I wish all of you great success and great health. And along the way, always remember to listen, learn, and give.